Good day and welcome to Heartbeat.
Hello.
Great to have you with us. And here on the show, of course, we like to get to know the people behind the stories, as well as the lives that they live to glorify God.
Absolutely, Charles. Our two guests today have achieved some great things and are working in influential positions. But behind all of that, they're still just like you and me with their own crosses to bear.
So true. And to kick off the program, let's listen to this comforting song by Jesus Culture called Born of God, before we introduce you to Dr. Danie Rossouw and his wife, Stefanie. What an amazing song. Really hope you enjoyed that. You know, we often talk to Christians in humble settings, whether on missions or in remote places, or even on the streets. But today we want to speak specifically to someone who has some influence in society.
Absolutely. We have Dr. Danie and his wife, Stephan Rossouw, here, who, although may not be celebrities yet, are movers and shakers in the world. Yeah. Welcome, Stefanie and Dr. Danie. Thank you so much for joining us.
Welcome.
Thank you for having us.
All righty. Let's start with you, Stephan. Tell us a little bit about what you do and how you got there.
Yes, you know, my name is Stephan Rossouw, and I actually grew up in a small farm town in the Northwest Province. I am the second youngest of 5 sisters. Can you believe that?
I can't believe it.
Yeah. So, you know, and from younger days, we grew up in a Christian home. So I met God from a very young age already. I was very fortunate enough. And after I finished my high school, I started studying pharmacy at the Potchefstroom University.
Okay.
And after I completed that, I also went on to do my master's degree, also in pharmacy. And that was when I actually met Danie. So, and we got married afterwards. And we had the privilege to live and work in London as well for almost 6 years.
Wow.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and then we came back. We felt we had to come back for a reason. And we stayed here for another year and a half while I was working at a courier pharmacy. And then I had the opportunity to work in America for another year. So, and after that year, it was really wonderful to see the world and travel and, you know, meet all kinds of people. And then we came back and we've settled in Pretoria. Currently I'm working as a pharmacist at a pharmaceutical company, but I'm also in my part-time still doing the retail bit of the job, so I still locum in my part-time.
Okay.
Wow.
Well, that's fantastic.
Yes.
So I would assume that when you met, your lives obviously changed somewhat when you got married. Danie, tell us a bit about yourself.
Yes, Charles, thank you for the opportunity, guys. Actually, I'm just an ordinary guy with an extraordinary passion to make a difference in the world. And I grew up also in a Christian home, but it was actually in university where I studied social work, also at the Northwest University in Potchefstroom, that I really started to feel a deepening in my relationship with God. After that, I started working in Rustenburg Correctional Services, and it was actually in the prison that I felt God's calling on my life. In the confinement of the prison walls, God birthed in me this passion to make a difference and to be an encourager. And so God blessed me with a wonderful word in Acts 4 verse 36, where he said that I'm calling you as a son of encouragement, Barnabas. And but at that stage I didn't talk a lot. I wasn't so fluent in talking. I was a shy guy. But God confirmed again in his word in Exodus 4 verse 11. He said, who made your mouth? I will speak through you.
Wow.
And that was then and this is now, and I've been motivating people all over the world, and God has blessed me amazingly.
That's
so
incredible.
yes, and now I'm a social worker. I'm working at a big food company where I'm doing their employee well-being, and God is using me part-time to have my own private practice and motivating people.
Fantastic.
Wow, absolutely amazing. Anything special planned next, Stefanie?
Well, Benolo, as you can see.
Yes, as we can see.
My husband was actually the one entering me for the Mrs. United
No
Nations
ways.
Passion.
Okay.
Yeah, no
I'm
kidding.
the guilty one.
Yeah, he's the guilty one. So you can imagine my surprise when I got the phone call. And after I've settled down and
Did you get a
realized what
tongue-lashing?
happened, you know, I'm actually so privileged to be mentioned, you know, to be part of this competition, because some of the previous winners and the previous finalists, they are really godly women who go out and really make a difference. And that is really what this competition makes it a little bit maybe different from something else. It is Christian based, it's only for Christian women, and you have to be married. And mostly the important thing is that they go out into the community and they make a difference, you know, and that's, I think we all want to make a difference, but
Absolutely.
to actually go out and do it for yourself and see the need out there, you know, I feel so blessed to have that opportunity to sow into other people's lives. So that's amazing.
Incredible.
I'm very excited about this.
Now you know we're gonna come back to you, right?
Yeah.
And ask the question: what was it about her that made you think my wife would be perfect for this? Let me sign her up. I can deal with the consequences later.
Guys, look at her. I mean, I'm so privileged. And sometimes I'm thinking to myself, who am I actually to have this beautiful blonde, green-eye pharmacist woman that loves me? And it's just another testimony of nothing is impossible for God, you know, that He blessed me abundantly. So yeah, when I knew her and I thought, you know what, this is going to fit your profile, Mrs. United Nation.
And how long did it take for her to forgive you?
I think it was a couple of minutes.
A couple of minutes rather than, you know, as opposed to a couple of hours or days. Danie, maybe also just understanding your passion then for motivating. Was there a specific thing that happened in your life? We know where the context was, but was there something specific that made you realize?
Yes, Charles, you know what? I must honestly say that when I worked as a social worker, I saw the desperate need of people out there. You are in daily contact with people who are really in difficult situations, and I realized there and then that God called me to make a difference. So over and over in my life, I realized, listen, I must make a difference. And so from correctional services days all over when we worked in England in child protection services, wherever I am, I'm confronted with need.
Yeah.
And so it comes naturally to motivate people.
Yes.
So I was born to do this, and
Amen.
it's a passion for me.
That's it. So one knows, and it comes down to making a difference.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And we really look forward to then coming back, of course, to Danie and Stephan. When we return, we'll talk some more about their plans for the future as well as about family. Our dynamic duo guests, Dr. Danie and Stephan Rossouw, are living a fast-paced and pressured life.
And like all married couples, they still have their own challenges too, and they're seated right here next to us.
Yeah.
Okay, so we heard about your backgrounds. We heard a little bit about what you do as well. I'm curious about how you met.
Can I answer that one?
Yes, please do.
My dad introduced me to a book from Dr. Paul Yonke Chow about the power of praying specifically. And so I started praying and I made a list of my wife. So it was about 3 years that I prayed specifically, and I made my list very specific. And I prayed over that list for my wife. And it was then nearing the end of the 3 years that I was invited to a wedding in Leeudoringstad, a small northwest farm town near Wolmaranstad and Klerksdorp. And I didn't want to go to their wedding because I was single at the time, and you don't go to a wedding when you don't have a date. But my mom urged me and she said, no, go to that wedding, you are going to meet your wife there.
Wow. Okay.
And I met my wife there. So you can listen to what your mom says.
Moms know best.
Moms know.
Yeah, and so yes, and we got engaged. And on the night actually that we got engaged, I asked Stefanie that we read her specific devotional part, a devotional story in her book, her diary. And the topic of that specific day that we got engaged was, it's not good for man to be alone.
Wow.
Talk about a marriage made out in heaven. So God has been very good for us, and He's blessed us ever since.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Family, do you have children?
We have 2 little dogs.
Okay.
No, Charles, unfortunately, you know, we will be married 15 years in October.
Okay.
And we haven't been blessed with children yet. So it's a huge challenge for us. And I think we have reached that point that we can now come to terms with it. We can now speak about it. You know, God really works in mysterious ways. And even though there were so many prophecies and so many people prophesied over our lives that we will have children. It hasn't happened yet. We have tried everything medical possible, but still it hasn't happened.
Yeah.
But and I also want to encourage people out there, if you also struggle, go out, make use of the medical technology. That's why they are there. And it is just, you know, not happening for us at this moment. But, you know, we still keep the faith. We still believe God will do what He says He will do. But something actually very wonderful came over our way a few months ago. We were asked by somebody if we are not interested in foster care. And, you know, we have thought about that in the past, but I just didn't feel it was the right time. We both felt the time wasn't right. And this time it was just different. So we met this little boy, beautiful little boy, and yeah, so now we are going to, you know, be foster parents for him. And we are really looking forward to that. Make difference in somebody's life. And you know, sometimes we think God doesn't answer our prayers, but He answers it maybe in a way that we don't want to, but He has other plans for us. And you know, I just believe as long as we are in His will, you know, we will have that peace.
Absolutely.
Yes.
What has been the response to not having children by other Christians, by perhaps family members and those around you? And I don't know if anybody's aware of the opportunity that you're going to take to foster as well. I'm curious about the responses to both.
Yes, you know what, I can really say our family and friends, they have nothing but supportive. They have supported us every step of the way. You know, they know when we don't feel like talking about it, and they have been really supportive. Our friends, they are also excited when they heard about the foster kid. You know, we, even our friends in America and England, you know, the Facebook was flooded with well wishes. So everybody's really excited. So yeah, we have just got support from everybody, and that is great.
That's fantastic.
Wow.
And it's amazing just to know that sometimes God works differently than we expect, hey, Danie?
Yeah, you know, God always answers prayers, but maybe not in the way we want it to happen. But we actually feel privileged that God chose us, even when we were young little children, that He already planned for us to help a child in need. And it's an honor, actually, isn't it, to know that a lot of people can have children, but that God chose us specifically to make a difference for a little child.
Because the reality is, unfortunately, that there are people who don't look after their children, who might need. So we thank God for your hearts, and we really thank God for the ministry, actually, that you have. And we look forward to engaging more with you. We'll be speaking more with Danie and Stephan after the break.
In our media-driven world, we are bombarded with noise. And how much of this information really speaks to your heart? Radio Pulpit is a Christian radio station inspired by Christian values. From Gauteng to the Cape, we give our listeners compelling, morally uplifting content that's real and relevant, as we strive to restore family values, equip the leaders of tomorrow, and work together to build a moral nation. Radio Pulpit, your daily companion.
Welcome back. Remember that you can listen to Radio Pulpit on channel 657 AM and K Pulpit on channel 729 AM for more testimonies like what we are having today.
Absolutely. And although they have great lives, Stephan and her husband, Dr. Danie Rossouw, also have challenges as well. But they don't let those challenges and troubles stop them, which is something really, really inspiring. Stephan, the not being able to have children, has it helped you to assist others who have not? Have you found that door has opened?
You know, I think definitely, because I can associate with people, you know, some of my friends, they have child birthday parties. I don't get invited, not that I don't want to, but I don't want to hurt my feelings. So I can associate with somebody else who's in the same situation. And you know what, it was just amazing for us when we went for all the procedures and stuff to see how many couples are actually desperate to have children who can't have children. So yeah, I think it really opened up a new world for us. So I'm really excited to see what the future will hold for us.
Yeah. Only good things in store, hey?
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Donnie, you seem very positive and energetic and enthusiastic. But,
Really?
you know, yes, life, that's how we are experiencing you. And I'm sure our viewers as well. But life does throw a curveball every now and again. How do you personally deal with it, also in the context of your family experience, but generally?
You know, Charles, making a difference for God sometimes put you up there where you get a lot of wind, and it's not always easy. And I don't like trouble, and I don't like difficulties. I'll be the first one to say that. But there's a couple of things that I think that I do. The first one is I cry. I like to cry, and for men, usually I don't think that's good for men, because we are brought up that cowboys don't cry. But God gave us those emotions, isn't it? And I believe that crying is ointment for your soul. And so a good ventilation session and a good crying session helps a lot. But then what I also like to do is writing letters to God. I like to take the hurt inside out and put it on paper. Then it's no longer here. It's now on paper. It's no longer part of me. It's on paper, and it's there for God.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how many times God have answered my prayers when I go back to my letters.
Wow.
And that's a testimony in itself. So I like to write letters to God as well. That's a huge relief for me when I write to God. But then also, you know, the word enthusiasm. It comes, I think, from the Greek word.
Greek,
Yes.
Most likely.
Yes. And it comes from the word entheu, which means in God.
Yes.
So when you find yourself sometimes not being enthusiastic, you have to ask yourself sometimes, am I still in God? So I always go back into, am I still in God? And then I can find out, you know what, I haven't plugged into God lately. So plugging into God, that's my third principle. Plugging into Him as my eternal source of power. That helps me a lot to plug into. He recharge my batteries. So staying in contact. Matthew 6 says, seek first the kingdom of God, and He will give you anything you want. So yes, I like to plug into Him. That's my energy booster.
Fantastic. And as you've also been pouring out your heart, you've also been putting some of it on pages, I believe. You've written some books.
Yes, God has been very good for me. I wrote this book, Tsepo. And it's amazing how God often used the broken reed and people who are nothing. You know, I'm not a David Beckham or Pierce Peace, or I'm not from New York, but God often uses the weak or the broken reed to do something. So God likes to make a difference, and He blessed me with this wonderful book, Tsepo, to make a difference. Tsepo, of course, means hope.
Hope, yes.
In